Hey guys, Razorblade Mango here. Well, today is the first anniversary of the PlayStation 5's launch in North America. And to celebrate, I'm going to talk about the PS5 games that have come from PlayStation Studios and rank them. The only things that I have to throw out there is that no, I will not be talking about the director's cut versions of games like Death Stranding and Ghost of Tsushima, and I have not played MLB The Show 21 beyond its initial alpha tech test, which I thought was extremely boring because baseball is totally not my thing. So I'm gonna go from the game that I like the least to the one that I like the most. To start out with, we're gonna talk about Destruction All-Stars, which in my opinion is far and away the absolute worst game that has come out of PlayStation Studios during the PS5's tenure. Yikes. This won't take long. It sucks. Destruction All-Stars really sucks. It's an obvious bomb for PlayStation. I still cannot believe that they were going to charge $70 for this. Not 60, not 50, not 40, 70 for Destruction All-Stars. And now that I know what the launch date of it was, yikes. That's a big old yikes in bold italics, highlighted, neon lit. Fucking yikes. So, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what is wrong with this game. The fatal flaw is obvious. It's boring. It's extremely boring. I don't know how Lucid Games took the concept of car combat and made it the most snooze-inducing thing ever, but they did. It takes a special kind of talent to make a concept like that extremely dull. And another big problem with this game too is that it just was bare bones. It's like for every one step forward they take with this game, they take another step back, and it just equals itself out to where we're right where we started in the beginning. Feels like ever since this thing launched, for every new mode they've added, they've taken away one or two. They've removed shit from this game. And this game pretty much just distills all my problems with live services. It's just pathetic lineup of content, this sneaky little microtransaction garbage they pulled. This to me is just a clear indication that PlayStation still doesn't have any idea what they're doing when it comes to live services. When the 1-year anniversary of this thing rolls around, I'll be amazed if Sony is still allowing this thing to breathe. They should do this game a kindness. Just take it behind the back of the shed and put a bullet in the back of its head. Just end its misery. It's been sad just watching this thing trudge along while it leaves a trail of blood in its wake. It's a waste of money, a waste of server space, a waste of hard drive space, and worst of all, a waste of your precious time on this planet. Returnal is a very frustrating game for me because I really like Housemarque. I am a fan of theirs. I was genuinely happy that people enjoyed this game and that Sony obviously was pleased with the end result because they purchased Housemarque, which I feel like is well deserved. But for me personally, I didn't really like Returnal all that much. It's really frustrating. And what made it even more frustrating is that there are quite a few things I love about Returnal. I love its visual design, its music, its boss fights. Its boss fights are spectacular. The feel of the combat, the gunplay. But all of those good things are trapped in this really underdeveloped, frustrating, roguelike shell. It just houses all these elements I really enjoy in this shell that I just absolutely do not like. And I think when you release a roguelike these days, the bar has already been set for this genre, in my opinion. And this is a genre that I don't even really care for. But when you look at a game like Hades, that is damn impressive. And it's $25 and has so much content and variety and fun and surprises. And then you go to a game like Returnal, and it just feels so, to me, very half-baked and underdeveloped as a roguelike compared to the significantly cheaper Hades. You get a lot more mileage, I feel, out of Hades without feeling that sense of burnout that I did from Returnal. And Returnal commits that cardinal sin of being ambiguous and hard while not having something the good that the player can chase as far as little narrative breadcrumbs. When you finally reach the end point of Returnal and try to get a sense of what's going on, Housemarque just hits you with that brick wall of, well, what did you think the story was about? And just, I absolutely hate that. That is one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to games like this. It especially doesn't look good when you compare it to another game about Lovecraftian horror called Bloodborne. I don't know if you've ever heard of that game. It's a very, very underrated gem in my opinion. But when you look at Bloodborne, that game's story is very ambiguous and strange, and you have to work hard to get all the different lore and piece everything together to see the coherent story. And yes, there is a coherent story within Bloodborne, but it's worth that pursuit in Bloodborne because Bloodborne is so interesting and fun and surprising, and when you get to the end after you've seen the whole picture, it tells a really fascinating story with a lot of really interesting bits of lore in it. But I don't feel like that's in Returnal. And for a game like Returnal to demand so much of the player, it just feels so lame when you get to the end of it and you see that there really isn't much worth struggling for, and you just go, that's it? So I don't really feel like Returnal respects the player's time and hard work, and it utterly fails at providing anything meaningful at the end of the long journey. So I hope Housemarque makes a better game next time. I hope that Sony gives them a budget to do something extremely well, and whatever they do next, it better come out in a much improved technical state compared to Returnal. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is another interesting case because this is a game I quite liked when it came out a couple months ago. Don't get me wrong, I still like it. I think it is a very fun little bit of PS2 era nostalgia. But if I'm being honest, my enthusiasm for it has slowly faded with time. And I think it's faded even quicker thanks to other platformers that have been released since Rift Apart, such as Psychonauts 2 and Kena Bridge of Spirits. And the reason my enthusiasm for it has faded is that I feel like Rift Apart doesn't really have a strong sense of identity. I feel like Psychonauts 2 or Kena Bridge of Spirits are much more unique when it comes to atmosphere and personality. And the big problem I have with Rift Apart is that it is just very bland when it comes to its world and its characters and its story. Everything else about it is very shiny and polished. It has beautiful graphics. The ray tracing 60 frames mode is great. The gameplay is tight and responsive and fun. The campaign is fun to go through, even if I think it's a little too short for a $70 game, which is strange. But when I step back and look at Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, especially compared to the aforementioned games, I just feel like it's very flat. And the problem is that it's trying to be as kid-friendly, almost kid-friendly to a fault, almost too welcoming to people, where even its trophy list feels patronizing, where it's just really easy to get through, even on hard. And I think all the characters just, they lack this edge to them. The writing is just very PC and safe, and it lacks any kind of bite or wit. It just feels like a bland sludge of nothing slapped onto this piece of bread that is actually well structured and delicious, but then you have that thick layer of blandness that is the writing and the storytelling, and it's just and again, it makes it all the more noticeable when you play a game like Psychonauts 2 that has a unique personality, that has a very strange and weird world. When you play a game like Kena Bridge of Spirits that has a dazzling art style, and then you go back and look at Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart with its really shiny, polished graphics, and it just, to me, it's missing something compared to other lesser, less shinier, less polished games out there. But I do like Rift Apart. I just wouldn't really have the motivation to touch it again. It's a game to me that feels very disposable. It's unfortunate because I think Ratchet & Clank, especially when you go back to the original PS2 trilogy, it did have a personality. It did have a unique vision. But now it's just kind of been wrung out in favor of this bland, generic Pixar-like thing. And I just find that a damn shame. Sackboy: A Big Adventure is one of the most surprising games I've ever played. It was a game that I looked at and thought, out of all the launch titles, this is the one that's going to suck the hardest. This was coming out among the likes of Demon's Souls Remake, Miles Morales, and Astro's Playroom. And while I think out of the four, this is my least favorite launch title, it still is a damn good game. It actually turned out to be one of the most fun platformers I've played in a while. It has a lot of variety when it comes to its levels. It has a lot of variety when it comes to its gameplay gimmicks. The visuals are outstanding. The soundtrack is magnificent. The story is charming and fun and delightful. And I would love to play a sequel someday. It's really all I've got with Sackboy: A Big Adventure. This is just such a fun, enjoyable game. And they've been adding free stuff to it. Free costumes, free little emotes ever since the game came out. So if you've never played it and you own a PS4 or a PS5, I highly recommend Sackboy: A Big Adventure. I had a lot of fun with it, and I think a lot of you out there will as well. Now, out of all the launch titles to come out, Demon's Souls Remake, to me, was the safest bet in terms of whether or not it was going to be any good. I mean, it's Blue Point remaking Demon's Souls. That kind of speaks for itself. And it turned out to be pretty much exactly as good as I expected it to be. At this stage of the game, I really don't think Blue Point's talent is up for debate. They are an undeniably talented studio. They rule. There's a reason Sony bought them. And even with the frustrations and criticisms that I expressed in my video about it, I think Blue Point absolutely nailed the ebb and flow of a From Software game. Hell, I think in some cases with this game, as far as smoothness and quality of life features, they've beaten From Software at their own game. And even though I don't particularly care for some of the changes that they made to the art design and the color palette and the music, I think Blue Point has done almost a complete justice to Demon's Souls. It's really an incredible piece of work. Even to this day, I still go back and play Demon's Souls every so often. It's just such a fun game to play, which is strange to say considering how oppressive and hard it is, but it is a lot of fun in my opinion. I've actually gone through Demon's Souls more than I've gone through the likes of Dark Souls, Dark Souls 2, Sekiro. I think this is only beaten by Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3. So I really enjoy this one. This is one of my favorite games, easily one of the best games released during the PS5 era so far. It's an easy recommendation for anyone who's just picking up a PS5. Miles Morales. So, would it surprise some of you to know that I actually expected this game to not be any good? Because I didn't particularly care for Marvel's Spider-Man, and I just didn't really feel like this new one would dramatically improve on what I didn't like about Marvel's Spider-Man the first time around. I was wrong. That's just the best way I can say it. I was obviously wrong, because I love Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. It is a spectacular superhero game. It is the best superhero game I've played since Batman Arkham City. Easily, bar none. It's a fabulous time. It's amazing what a few key changes can do. You have 60 frames per second in this, which is a godsend. It runs... I would never recommend that you play this on the PS4. You absolutely must play these games at 60 frames. I don't know why Insomniac didn't do this to begin with Marvel Spider-Man. And I also love that they've pretty much scrapped a lot of the open world bloat that was in the first Spider-Man. They've condensed the story down into something a little bit more bite-sized. They've condensed the collectibles down, and they've also doled them out in a way that is gradual and doesn't feel overwhelming and obnoxious. The story is much more interesting this time around. The characters are much more interesting. I just love existing in this world. I love just having my Spider-Man power fantasy, and it brings back memories of when I was a kid and I first played the Spider-Man 2 movie tie-in game on the PS2, and I remember sitting there swinging through the city as Spider-Man, having the time of my life. I'll never forget that moment. That was one of the best video game moments of my childhood. So if you're now just buying a PS5 and have held off on playing Miles Morales, pat yourself on the back. You deserve a cookie. Go grab Miles Morales. It's fantastic. And finally, what to me is hands down, bar none, the best PlayStation 5 game to come out of this era so far is Astro's Playroom. Now, I know some of you are going to roll your eyes and go, what? Are you serious? A tech demo is better, ranked higher than Demon's Souls, than Miles Morales, than Returnal, than Ratchet & Clank. Yeah, it is. And let me hit you with something else. I have played through Astro's Playroom maybe 4 or 5 times. I've 100%ed it 4 or 5 times. And with this most recent playthrough that I did, I have come to the realization that this game, and I know some of you are going to go, what? This is one of my top 10 games of all time. This game, to me, is miraculous. This is a game that, to me, sits among the likes of Persona 5, and Titanfall 2, and The Witcher 3, and Radiata Stories, and Kingdom Hearts 2. I'm welcoming it to that VIP club. I wrote notes down for what I wanted to say about each game, but I don't have the words to describe how much joy and comfort this game brings me. It's something that I wish I could just convey into a little ball and pass it through this YouTube video into your soul, and you experience the joy and happiness and comfort and nostalgia that I get out of Astro's Playroom. This game is just a masterclass in both simplicity and innovation. At its core, it's just a simple, nice, pleasant platformer, and it is fine-tuned to such a perfect, flawless degree that it just works. And then it builds with each layer on top of it. It just adds new, wonderful, exciting things. It adds incredible graphics and art design and music. My God, the music is so phenomenal in this game. This soundtrack fucking slaps so goddamn hard. You haven't lived until you've played this game and walked through the GPU jungle where you get to hear the song that plays. And if you've played Astro's Playroom, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The stuff they do with the DualSense controller is just... When journalists write hyperbole-driven pieces about this controller, this is the game that I like to imagine that they think of. And it is just a technical innovation. It's just stunning. It really is stunning when it comes to that. It's like opening a new toy on Christmas, playing with this controller, playing Astro's Playroom. And I love all the different little callbacks to PlayStation 2 games, and 1 games, and 3 games, and 4 games. And they're also brilliantly condensed into each level. Your heart just leaps whenever you see something you recognize. And to me, it's not just empty nostalgia. It's actually made with a sense of love and care. And you can tell that Team Asobi absolutely love PlayStation and its history, and have gone so far beyond the Call of Duty when it comes to transferring that love into this video game that even people I bet that have never touched a PlayStation console, will feel some kind of warm, positive human emotion when they play this. It's so obvious how much love was put into this game from Team Asobi. There are multiple things about this game. Multiple little secret animations and hidden details and things that I still, even after 5 times going through it, I still discover charming little details that just blow my mind that Team Asobi thought to put in. This is a game that I've been bumbling for a while about this game, and I still feel like I have not done this game justice. I feel like I have failed this game in terms of selling it to you. But if you have a PS5, or if you yet to get a PS5, the moment you get a PS5, play Astro's Playroom before you even touch that copy of Miles Morales, before you even touch that copy of Demon's Souls or Returnal or Ratchet. Please, 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 please play Astro's Playroom. I know it's a short tech demo, but just play it. Just you will thank me. You will thank me later if you just give Astro's Playroom a chance, even if you don't like this genre. Even if you look at this and go, what the fuck is this little kid's game? It is a work of genius. It is a miracle of a video game. Oh my god. I better stop. I better just stop talking about Astro's Playroom. I'm gonna be here all day. You're gonna be all day. So that's it. My order is number 7, Destruction All-Stars. Number 6, Returnal. Number 5, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Number 4, Sackboy: A Big Adventure. Number 3, Demon's Souls Remake. Number 2, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. And of course, number 1, Astro's Playroom. So yeah, those are the games that have come out during this first year of PS5. Happy anniversary, PlayStation 5. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you see, subscribe. Let me know what you all think of the PlayStation 5 and its video games. Let me see your ranking if you've played all 7 of these games. As always, I am Razorblade Mango. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all later. Bye.